signals I'm hearing, looking at, tuning up. This is K4VWD, CQ, the old friend's net. Our net is AM only net, but everybody who can create an AM signal is welcome, regardless of rig. We meet 3 times a week here at 9 a.m. on Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings, and at 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoons currently. Frequency 3715 approximately. It looks like I'm a little bit high, not much. CQ, the old friend's net. My name's Lee, Lima Echo Alpha. I'm using an AF-68 and a Bandit amplifier, about 200 watts carrier, listening on a PMR8 receiver, and feeding this AF-68 to a Bandit amplifier, to a ladder line to a dipole. In Greenville, South Carolina. Temperatures 26 degrees and it's severe clear. It's a beautiful morning. So, with that, I am going to stand by for calls to see who wants to participate. This is K4VWD.
Good morning, Lee, WA4LLR.
N4LQ.
KN4R.
KZ4 Bravo.
NC for the win.
WF2U.
WB4ARK.
W4 Victor, Romeo Oscar.
WA4EVK.
W4WU.
N40ZI.
W4MEC.
Boy, this is K4VWD, the old friend's net. Y'all checked in at the same speed of which I was able to write. So here we go. Here's the list as I have it and the sequence. LLR to LQ to R to Bravo to ON to 2U to ARK to VRO to EVK to WU to OZI to MEC. Who did I miss?
K4GDN.
I'm sure that was George. GDN at the very end after Charlie. Okay, I got that written down. Anybody else? Well, I don't hear any. So, Steve, Shelby made it into the American Rifleman magazine. My magazine came yesterday. It's the February issue. And it's about the, let me get it where I can read. Some guys had an argument and they left. One of them came back with a gun and started shooting, and a woman standing there shot the perpetrator 5 times, but they don't say what the the weapon was that she was using, what the caliber was. But anyway, it's Shelby, North Carolina. Happened November the 7th, I guess it was. So, Shelby is in the American Rifleman. And with that is a start. I'll turn it over to you, Dave. WA4. R to Bravo to ON to 2U to ARK to VRO to EVK to WU to OZI to MEC and then GEN. So, a great list, a great group of guys this morning. WA4LLR in the group, K4VWD.
All right, Lee, fine business. K4VWD. And the old friends, WA4LLR. Good morning to everybody on the net. 14 on a Tuesday morning, not bad. My name's Dave. I'm in Burnsville, North Carolina, where we currently have clear skies and 15 degrees. Running an ART-13, receiving an HQ-180. So that's the rundown here. And hope everybody's doing well on this chilly morning. We've still got snow on the ground and ice and that sort of stuff. So I'm down to you, Steve. Sorry that Shelby got in the American Rifleman on a kind of a rough report, but anyway, notoriety. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. Well, I guess that just shows you how pleasant Shelby is. When somebody acts up and they're not pleasant, we just take care of them, and usually we try to censor the news so nobody knows about it. Running the AF-67 Elmac today, driving the AL-82, the horizontal loop, and the D104 microphonium, and about 250 watts right now. A little bit more there. And the name is Steve, and I'm not in the city limits. I am just about 3/4 of a mile from the city border down by the lake. So take it away, Brian, KN4R. How's things on your lake, N4LQ?
Okay, Steve, very good. N4LQ and the old friends. This is Brian, KN4R, and my daughter hear that in the background, but good morning to everybody. Great signals. I'm using the Globe Camp 350, pushing about 200 watts, listening on a pre-World War II HRO. So, and I'm lucky to have Brown, W1NZR, here. Today we're going down to South Carolina to pick up a piece of gear, and so he says good morning, and I'll pass the microphone to him real quick. Good morning, gentlemen. W1NZR here. Nice to hear you all from the rather cool confines of KN4R Studios, and Brian is being a wonderful host here. I'm going to hand it back to him. All right, so over to you, John. KZ4B in the group, KN4R.
Okay, KN4R in the group. This is KZ4 Bravo. Fine business, Brian. I'm on a different operating position today than usual. I'm in an upstairs bedroom operating position using the Alinco SR9T, driving a Temtec Titan, Titan 1, the Titan 425, same as downstairs but a different amplifier, and that in turn is feeding an AT4K Power antenna tuner, which in turn is feeding via 50 feet of LMR 400 coax to an off-center fed Wyndham resonant on 160 meters. This is the rig that I plan on using to get on AM on 160 meters. I haven't had that set up previously, just got that put together. And the other rig up here is a Yaesu FTDX10, but it feeds a solid state ALS 1306 amplifier, which I don't like to use AM on. I'm sort of skittish about using non-tube amplifiers on AM, because this one's good for 1600 watts plate dissipation that I'm using, and that can handle the stress of AM. So that's the rundown here. It's cold as can be, but no snow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, over to Stefan, NC4ON in the group, KZ4B, over.
Roger, Roger. Good morning, everybody. And you're booming in here, John, KZ4B in the group, NC4ON. Good morning to all of you, and Lee, thank you for doing the net. You're booming in here, so does Dave and everybody else. I'm on my old Kenwood 950 SDX and my infit antenna here for 160 half wave. And all right, I guess next on the line is Mayor WFTU. Here it comes, NC4ON.
Roger, NC4ON and the net. This is WFTU. Okay, nice signals all around, and good morning. It was chilly at 6 o'clock here, 17 degrees when I got up. It's up to 26 now, and it's nice and sunny, very nice and crisp morning. Not a breeze, so it doesn't even feel that cold. And this morning I'm using the D104 for the first time with the DX100B, and I had to kind of combine two of my D104s. One I found it with a dead cartridge. The other one, the wiring was a little screwed up by somebody. So I took the working bass from one and the working microphone from the other one, and here we go. So it looks like I have, according to the plate current of the modulator, it's just about the right amount. Oh, sorry. Just about the right amount. And please, anybody who has any comments, and please report regarding the audio and the modulation. So, yeah, I read about that. I got my American Rifleman yesterday, and I read that thing about what happened in Shelby. And anyway, so receiving of the National NC300, and the antenna is an 80-meter end-fed half wave, about 45 feet or so. Let's see. Okay, I have some reports of the stations that were before me. Lee, you are 30 over 9, booming in. Dave, 25 dB over 9. Steve, 35 dB over 9. Brian, it's interesting, you had a lot of QSB on you. So you were like between 5 over 9 to 10 over 9, and hi, Brown. and I hope you're having a good trip and a good time with Brian there. And let's see. Oh yeah, John, very strange signal. You usually are very strong here no matter what, even when you can't hear me. But this time you were a little bit weaker than normal with a lot of QSB. You were S6 and to S9+5, like it's back and forth, so it's like a very deep QSB. And Stefan, you were 5.9 plus between 5 and 10 with a little QSB. So let's see later, and I'll write down the reports. So, buddy, you have a booming signal, but I didn't look at the S meter yet. WB4ARK, this is WF2U.
WF2U, WB4ARK, running the ART-13 this morning. Well, Mirror, your signal sounds very good, very clean. Looks good on the scope, except your modulation probably could come up just a little. If that's an amplified D104, I would crank it up just a tick. And the temperature here this morning is 23 degrees and pretty chilly. The weather is clear, and actually no clouds in the sky right now. So it looks like we're going to have a nice day. I was at Lowe's yesterday, and according to some of the reports on the air on Tuesday, that the self-checkout lines might be going away. I inquired, and they said no, they were actually going to increase their self-checkout lines. They've got, I think, 3 normal checkouts, and they're going to abandon those and go to self-checkout with 2 of them and keep 1 as a regular checkout. So at least that store is not changing their way of doing business. Now that doesn't take care of the commercial end, where, well, the end at the far end of the store where they have their building material checkouts. They've got 2 down there, regular checkouts, and I don't know if they're going to change that yet. So with that, we'll turn it over to W4 VRO. This is WB4 ARK.
You're real weak.
Very low here, but I can copy you. Okay, stand by one. Okay, this should be a little better. WB4 ARK in the group, W4VRO. I checked in, and when I first came back to you, buddy, I had a little portable transceiver, a Yaesu rig that I was checking out, and apparently it works. But it's 20 watts on AM. It's where it's loaded to now, 100 watts sideband. So I'm back on the Johnson 500 at the moment, so that should be a little better. 19 degrees here this morning, and completely clear, I think. But very cold. It's going to be a cold week. But
warmer weather's on the way after 5 or 6 days, I think. Over to you, Boone. WA4EBK, W4VRO.
W4VRO in the group, WA4EBK. Good morning, everyone. 23 degrees here in Pickens. I'm running the AF-68 into a Swan Mark I with about almost 300 watts carrier. Things sound, got good quiet band this morning on my end, good signals all the way around. And before I forget, Dave, N8SH up in Ohio does not have a RME speaker, but he is on the lookout for one, and will send me details if he runs across one. He's very active in the boat anchor groups up there in Ohio, so he is actually looking for speakers for the earlier RME. I think it's a 65 or a 69. And with that, I'm going to send it over on to W4WU to take it WA4EBK.
All right, thank you, Boone. Good morning to everybody. It's W4WU here in Cowpens, and it's, let's see, 29 degrees right now. Nice chilly morning. Like you said, Lee, it's nice and clear outside, though. Beautiful day out there. Using my 32 V3 and 75 A4, like I was last time. D104 mic into the NFED halfway. And that's about to run down the station right now. Yesterday, of course, was January 17th. And in 1781, John, you'll be familiar with this, was the Battle of Cowpens. I think John mentioned that last time. It was also my my grandson's 20th birthday. And I told him this was the only time in his life that he'll be 1/4 as old as I am. So that was sort of an interesting little tidbit there. Everybody sounds real good this morning. Ray, I heard you when you were running your 20 watts. You were weak, but I could still copy you okay. Of course, now you're certainly a whole lot stronger. And Mary, your station sounds real good. I heard you when you were tuning up before the net started, and very, very clear. Probably the best I've ever heard you over here. So that's good too. Your microphone there is doing a good job for you. So okay, on over to N4OZI, W4WU.
Okay, W4WU in the net. This is N4OZI, Alan over here in Woodstock, a chilly Woodstock, but doing very well. It looks like it's going to be warming up today and thawing things out around here, which would be most welcome. We're welcoming that. Band's in fair shape at this hour, not in the best of conditions, but have a fairly good copy. So I'm going to make this my one and done, since it may be a while before it comes back around to me, and by that time it may be been impossible to hear anybody. But Lee, appreciate you calling it. I've got a fairly good copy on you. And Muir, you're just booming in down here in Woodstock, I got to tell you. And Charlie is too. Those two are doing really, really well. Of course, Ray always comes in well because he's so close. So I could hear Ray on just about anything, even on his low power rig. Not much else to report. Just wanted to check in. Hadn't checked in with you guys in a while, so I figured, I better check in and make sure they know I'm still around. So anyway, we'll say 73s. Make this our one and done, and you guys have yourself a fantastic day. Hope everybody falls out. So over to you, Charlie, W4MEC. This is N4OZI.
Okay, Alan, very good. Good signal. N4OZI in the group W4MEC. Good morning, fellas. There we go. Here, just touching up the tuning a little bit and making it worse. Yeah, there you go. Just touch on the antenna tuner. I need to make a chart or an arrow that says when it's wet, turn it this way. When it's dry, turn it this way, because it's really two positions between wet and dry, but I never can remember which way to go. Anyway, did I say it was 21 here? That might be within a couple degrees of what it is. And the weather guessers, on Tuesday I made a comment and I said, I hope the weather guessers are wrong about the 11-degree predictions. Well, they were spot on perfect. It was 11 degrees was the low here Tuesday night. So we'll give them a point for that one, but only one. Let's see, Dave, on the comment on the email about the tank, I do rent the other one. Matter of fact, they don't even charge me rent. I don't understand that. I never got a bill for the rent or whatever. So, and I did talk to them about placing another tank and all that, but they will not do it. And we also talked about going to a bigger tank, 500 gallons. And that would probably be a good idea. But it looks like the only way to do a generator with the propane is to put the generator by the propane tank. So the discussion, fellows, is my gas company will not rent a tank to power a generator, but they will sell me a tank. A 300-gallon tank is $3,400, almost as much as a generator. So that's not an option. So. And I did copy George right after Steve, N4LQ, checking in. So he got bumped from number 3 to the bottom of the list there. So sorry about that, George. And Boone, I didn't make if you were on 6 meters Tuesday, I forgot to remind you that I did have a makeup club meeting because it was so darn cold last Tuesday. I know it wasn't cold, it was rainy. That was the big storm day and floods and everything. So they canceled that, and we redid it Tuesday night there. So I wasn't on the radio on 6 meters. So that catches up my notes I made here. Everybody's coming in quite well. And let's see if George is copying me this morning. K4GDN and the group W4MEC.
Okay, W4MEC in the group. This is K4GDN. And in Myrtle Beach, it was in the low 20s this morning about 7:30. It was in the high 20s here at the shack when we had it about 8:30. I'm sitting here with the electric heater right next to me. I'm running the Viking 2 this morning, putting out about 100 watts, and receiving on the HRO5A1. Mine is a black one, but it's an early post-war. And feeding the infant halfway. And I did notice the thing in the American Rifleman about Shelby. That's kind of interesting that they would make it for. But anyway, I'm surprised Myrtle Beach doesn't get in a bunch the way it goes down here. Anyway, I'm receiving everybody pretty well. QSB is in there some, and it's probably affecting Veer and Ray and Charlie the most. But other than that, I'm pretty much copying everybody okay. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Lee. K4VWD in the group, K4GDN.
Okay. K4GDN, K4VWD. Well, you're pretty light, George. You're going from 0 to S3 here. And at S3, I can catch a word every now and then. So it's pretty light this morning. Do we have anybody else that would like to join us? If so, please call me now. Okay, don't hear anybody. Well, let's see. Mir, your signal sounds good here in Greenville. Your microphone's doing a whole lot better job than that one that wasn't working a while back. And Ray, I also heard your 20 watts, and I could copy it. Stefan, you're pretty light this morning. I'm having trouble with you also, you and George. And sorry, George, I missed you at the start. I apologize for that. And I need to say 7-3 to Alan. So, Richard, next time around, you'll turn it to Charlie. So, with that, we'll get going again. And, Steve, I don't guess you know what the caliber of weapon that lady was using It shot that guy 5 times. Apparently it didn't kill him, but I'm curious about what kind of caliber. She might have been shooting a .22, I don't know. So we'll start it around again. So Dave, here she comes. WA4LLR in the group, K4VWD.
All right, Lee, fine business. K4VWD and the group WA4LLR. If I was betting, I'd bet on either a 22 or a 25. But that's just me. It may have been a 9mm, and he's a tough bird. Anyhow, good morning to Brown there in Brian Shack. Nice to hear you. Mir, I agree with everybody else. Your audio sounds really good. And, buddy, you were talking about the self-checkout situation. I remember when the local Ingles first put them in. I hated those things with a passion because evidently I have some kind of aura that they didn't like, because every time I walked up and scanned the first item, it would say wait for cashier. But they've kind of got them straightened out or something, so they work pretty well now, but oh well. I'm old-fashioned. I still like to deal with a person. I despise it when I call somebody or some outfit on the phone and you have to go through 30 minutes of mashing buttons and on and listening to automated responses and listen to AI try to figure out what you need. And finally, it says, would you like to speak to a representative? And I'm saying, yeah, only 30 minutes ago. But anyway, I digress. Space weather today is pretty calm. Sunspot count's 158. Solar flux index is 174, and the K is 2. So pretty calm at the moment. A few things from this day in history. On this day, 1782, Daniel Webster was born in New Hampshire. On this day in 1882, A.A. Milne, who originated the stories of Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh, was born. Most of us that have got kids and grandkids are familiar with that. On this day in 1911, the first aircraft landed on the flight deck of a ship. Pilot was Eugene Elley, and that was in San Francisco Bay. On this day in 1912, Robert Scott and 4 members of his expedition reached the South Pole, only to discover that Amundsen had preceded them by a month, and the sad thing is Scott and his men died trying to get back to their base camp. On this day in 1943, to save the costs of labor and equipment, the United States banned the sale of pre-sliced bread during World War II. Let's see. On this day in 1967, Albert DeSalvo confessed that he was a serial killer known as the Boston Strangler. And on this day in 1904, Cary Grant was born. So that's enough of that. Down to you, Steve, N4LQ, WA4LLR.
Oh, yeah. WA4LLR or N4LQ. Excellent round. Everybody's coming in real good here. And Ray jumped up there. I could just barely hear your little QRP rice box thing there, but when you switched over to the 500, man, you jump way up. Hello to Brown. W1ZR, good to hear you this morning. And hope you're staying warm in that cold house. Let's see. I wanted to comment on Mayor's audio is unbelievable. I mean, it's the best I've ever heard you on the net. And that D104 is really cutting through here very strong. I would not turn it up anymore. You're going to end up flat topping yourself because you're right at 100%. So I wouldn't worry about that. Listen to it on the video when you get a chance. You'll love yourself. Lowe's checkouts. Yeah, I was in Lowe's the other day, just a few days ago, and bought some stuff, and they didn't have any people at the checkouts. They just had the self-checkout thing, and so there I was. I had 5 items, so it wasn't too bad. 2 of them were like 6 feet long sticks of shelf brackets. They were kind of hard to deal with, and I got the hand scanner out of the holster there and scanned that real quick, and everything beeped real good, and then it popped up and said, area code such and such, help is on the way. And I thought, well, here we go. It just happens almost every time something goes wrong. But the woman came over real quick, and she had a scan code under her vest. She pulled that open and took the hand scanner and scanned herself, and then she keyed in a passcode, and she said, "Oh, I see the problem. You didn't scan anything in." I said, "Lady, I just did." She said, "Oh, that's right. I saw you do it." So she said, "Well, never mind. I'll do it." So she scanned them all in again there real quick, and she got done, and I paid for it, and it was all over with. So yeah, it's just typical. But there's 2 ways they're approaching the shoplifting problem, because it's massive with those automatic the automatic checkout things. The shoplifting is horrible. People are changing tags on things and hiding things underneath things and all kinds of tricks, and they're losing thousands of dollars a day on those transactions. So what they're doing is either tearing those out and putting in a checkout lady, or they are putting in more observers, and they're watching everybody very closely. It's 2 ways to approach it, I guess. So Richard, you're sounding good on that 32V. Sounds real good. Over to you, Brian. And Brown, KN4R, N4LQ.
Yeah, okay, Steve. Very good. N4LQ in the group. KN4R. Well, this is a real joy today, sitting back and listening to all these interesting rigs and all the great modulation. We don't have a bad signal in the bunch here. So, and Brown and I have been trying different receivers. We started with an HRO, then we went to a 51S1, and then a Watkins Johnson. So we've been, and it all sounds good. We even got on synchronous AM there for a bit. So, Andy, you think or not? Yeah, there you go. Brown, are you sure? Yep. So, okay. Well, anyway. Yeah. Brown's partial to ART-13s, and he really likes the sound of both of them on the net today. So anyway, okay, very good. Well, we're going to continue using different receivers here as the net goes on. We'll hang in for another round. So, John, back to you, KZ4B and the old friends, KN4R.
Okay, KN4R. With Brown, this is KZ4 Bravo. Fine business, Brian. This is the first time I have used this antenna on AM in quite a while, and when I first got on, there was a ton of white noise because the antenna goes from the street, and the tail end of it, since it's 265 feet long, goes out just a little bit over Lake Norman, and it's very low. Its average height is only about 30 feet, and it's over a counterpoise the whole way. So the radiation resistance is only about 25 ohms or less. But the AT4K antenna tuner handles it well. It's got a very robust Guanella balun in the output, and so it overheated downstairs with my horizontal loop, but so I rewound it and replaced the core. Like I say, when I first started, there was a ton of white noise, and I assumed that was due to my next door neighbor's solar array, which tears me a new one on AM. sideband fairly well ignores it, but on AM, it's murder. My other antennas are, except for the start of my 80-meter long wire in-fed, all the other antennas are on the other side of the house, quite a greater distance away from the solar array. There's a lot of QS Baker this morning, and I don't know if that's the antenna or the conditions or a combination thereof. I did want to say welcome to the warmer South, Brown, and nice. I'm sure you're having a ball over at Steve's. It's like a museum, and a very fine one at that. Or over at Brown's. I was going to comment on this Alinco SR9T. It is a poor man's solid state 75A4 because it had an obscure option that they didn't normally advertise. It has 3 8-pole Collins filters, mechanical filters that you could add. It didn't come with it. It only had the ceramic filters as stock. It was just an entry-level transceiver. But except for the fact that it doesn't have any digital noise reduction internal to it, it is really a raging bargain, I think. I didn't ask for comments on the audio on this mic. This is just a hand mic that came with it. And when I was using it previously on sideband, I found that the Kenwood desk mic, which will interchange with the Alinco, sounds better. And so I will try that on subsequent QSOs. But right now, since I just got this on the air, I'm just using the hand mic. So feedback is solicited and welcome, as always. I fear the audio does sound the best you have ever sounded. So keep it up with that D104. D104s are like ART-13s. When it comes to audio, they're hard to beat. And so there. So let's see. Stefan is headed your way. NC40 case and 4B over.
Yeah, Roger, John case at 4B and C following. All right, you're moving in here, John. Of course, you're my neighbor, so. And the Alinco does sound really, really good, even with the hand mic. I would give you an A+, so done with that. You have an excellent sounding station there on the AM, no problem. And indeed, the Dave, yours sounds beautiful, so does Buddy's sounds really, really good here. No problem whatsoever. Okay, I'm going to make this my last one. So, Lee, thank you for doing the net. I hope you copy me okay. And I will say 73s to all of you, and I'm getting out of here. I have a few things on my plate here. So, thank you. Have all a good rest of your weekend, 73s. Back to you there, Boom. No, sorry, Mayor, WF2U, and the group NC4ON, 73s.
Roger, NC4ON. And the net, this is WF2U. Well, great round also, and everybody was booming in here. Yeah, one comment that, let's see. Oh yeah, Ray, I heard your 20 watts, 100%. I would give you 5.5 to 5.6, and the noise level was way below 6. Sorry, way below 5. So I copied 100% as long as he used it, and Otherwise, when you went with the other rig, you went up to 9 plus 20 to 25. I was looking at my notes here. Great audio all around, actually. So let's see, buddy, you were 30 over 9. Great audio. With my ART-13, I probably won't do such a nice audio because I like to run it stock with a T7. Actually, I'm not using. When I use the ART-13, I use it with the RS-38 microphone, which is the Navy. It has somewhat more punch and sort of, it looks like the ART-13 likes it better. I get a much better modulation with it, so that's what I like to use. It's not as convenient to hold, but I'm just sticking to the old carbon stuff. I'm very traditional with that, and let's see. Okay, so buddy, as I said, you were 30 over 9. Ray, I gave you a report. Boone, 20 over 9. Richard, 10 to 15 over 9. Alan was 5.7 to 20 over 9. Very wide range QSB. And Charlie, 30 over 9. George, you were 5.5, 5.6 all along. But again, luckily the noise level is below 5, so it was 100% copy. And Richard, I'm familiar with cowpens with the military memorial park, and before we moved here 22 years ago. For over 20 years, I was a member of the Brigade of the American Revolution, the 3rd New York Regiment, and we used to come once in a while for the anniversary reenactment, and even after I was here, several times some members of my unit came down. I hosted them and got all my stuff together, and we went for the reenactment. So we had a good time. Once I remember there was ice on the ground. It was a pretty nasty day. I think it was one of the major anniversaries, I believe, 20, I forgot the date actually, but we had a good time, but we were pretty worn out by the end of the day. So that's what I've been doing. I still have all my gear, and the uniform, the clothing. Part of my clothing was handmade by me according to the original patterns, and we only used authentic material that was recorded as have been used originally. Never used anything that was not regulation at the time, and never used anything that was synthetic or out of the prescribed patterns. Actually, when a new recruit came and put the stuff together, I had to pass through the inspector of the brigade and make sure that everything is authentic. Well, our muskets were reproductions because nobody would want to play with the original. too valuable. Anyway, that was a long monologue, but to wrap it up, thanks for the reports, and hopefully I'll restore a couple of more. I have a whole bunch of D104s. I think this was the only one that the cartridge was bad on it that I had to change. I still have one spare original cartridge that I bought brand new. So with that, it goes to Buddy. WB4ARK, this is WF2U.
WF2U, WB4ARK, came in. I don't know if you changed your mic, or if even if you've got an amplified D104, but your audio looked a little bit better that time. But it sounds very good today. And John, your transmitter sounds very good also. You've got a very good signal, and your audio looks really good. And thanks, Stefan, for the report on my ART-13 and Dave's. Dave, you got a good signal here today. And temperature's warmed up to 33. So we've got a little bit of an increase in temperature since the 28th of 7:30 this morning. Stayed 28 for quite a good bit, up to a little after 8 o'clock. And so I guess that's it for me at this point. I think, and thanks, Lee, for doing the net today. I really appreciate it. So we'll turn it over to W4VRO, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK and the net, W4VRO. Okay, buddy, very good. Signals are fading, but everyone's still Q5, except I'm having trouble copying George as usual. Thank you all very much for the report on the little portable rig, the 20 watts. I'm delighted that you could hear me and copy me, and I really appreciate those reports very much. More details about that another time. Time's running short on us. One thing about the little new portable rig, portable and mobile rig, that all of you will like is the S meter. Let me run down this very quickly. Dave, ART-13 booming in here, S9 plus 20. Steve plus 20. Brian, S9. John, S9. Stefan, S8. And Mir, 10 over. Buddy, 20 over. And Glenn, 20 over. Richard, 20 over. Charlie, 20 over. That's the new S meter on the rig. It's very generous, but all signals are really great this morning. They're beginning to fade some. And so, let's see, Mir audio sounds great, and the signal is very strong. So that rig you're using sounds really good. And any other comments? I didn't speak to your guest, Brian. Good morning to him, and I know you enjoy having him in there in the shack. Lee, thank you very much for calling the net. Enjoyed it. Good net, good check-in this morning, and good conditions to start with. Fading a little bit now, but hope all of you have a good day. 73, we'll see you next time. WA4EBK in the group, W4VRO.
W4VRO in the group, WA4EBK. Signals are pretty good. I am starting to get some fade. And Mir, your audio is great down here. I'd keep using that microphone as much as you could, because it really does a good job for you, at least on my end. Not much else this morning. I've got an appointment I got to get to, so I'm going to have to sign this round. Say 73s to everybody.
and thoroughly enjoyed it. Lee, thank you for holding the net and conducting the net, and say 73s to everyone. So W4WU, take it W4UVK 73.
Okay, Boone. Thank you very much. Have a good day there. A couple of comments here, and then I'm going to get out of here, too. We're talking about the Battle of Cowpens. Of course, having lived here, we all know, a lot of tidbits about it and that sort of thing. Here in the bicentennial year, they had a big banquet in Spartanburg celebrating the Battle of Cowpens. And they had the original flag, the banner, that was carried in the battle actually at the thing. And I stood about 2 feet away from it as it passed by me. Sort of interesting. And a lot of speeches by historians and that sort of thing. We had the 200th anniversary of the battle there in 1981. In one of the reenactments, you read that one or not, but General Westmoreland was there with his 4 stars, and there was a 3-star, a 2-star, and a 1-star general all there. And I had never seen, not having been in the military, I'd never seen that many generals together at one time in my life. And so that was sort of interesting. There are 2 monuments up there, and one's right at the Visitor Center. And when it was dedicated, my dad said he rode his bicycle all the way from Cowpens up there, which is about 7 or 8 miles, I guess. And it was a dirt road, and said he had to eat the dust from all the Model Ts that were going up there for the dedication of that monument. He was a little boy at that time. And, of course, they moved that monument from where it used to be. There was just a fork in the road and a monument sitting there. Then they added a few displays around it, so they built this new national battlefield. And, of course, it's very nice now. I have my great-grandfather, who was also Richard M. Cash, that's my middle initial, grew up in that area. And I have 2 cannonballs that were fired in the battle. And the old story, the way it goes, they plowed one up in a pasture out there close to it and saw one in a tree sometime. I don't know whether it's the same time or not, but dug the other one out of a tree. And they look like iron tennis balls is what they look like. And so we have those. Those go, of course, to my 2 children and that sort of thing, but they're sort of unusual. I don't dare take them up there to the battlefield and show them because they might want to keep them. But anyway, Ray, if you're still listening, in Union, Georgia, on Facebook Marketplace, there's a Cummins 32S1 amplifier sale down there. Looks to be in good shape just from the way it looks in the photograph. But I didn't know if you knew the guy that has it. It's Harold Mullins is his name. It doesn't show his call on the ad. But anyway, just thought I'd throw it out in case you knew anybody that was interested in that. But anyway, I'm going to say 7.3 also. I need to get down to my wood shop and sand some more on my highboy that I'm building. So all of you have a good weekend, and we'll catch you hopefully next time. This is W4WU. Turn it over to Charlie, W4MEC in the group.
Very good, Richard, W4WU and the old friends W4MEC. I was told that a long time ago by someone that's a lifetime resident in that area that the Cowpens battlefield is not really the Cowpens battlefield. That when they wanted to acquire it, the farmer wouldn't sell it to them, so they got the property next door. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but that's what I've heard for many decades about that. And there was a movie made about it. It was kind of a semi-comedy movie called Sweet Liberty. It's got Alan Alda in it. That's the only thing I can remember about it. But in the Battle of Cowpens, but more to the history than what they do in Hollywood. So let's see. I had a note here about. Let's see. Can I read it? Oh yeah, about Steve, in the comment about self-checkouts, I thought it was interesting when you said they were going to hire more watchers. And the first thing popped in my head was, why can they hire watchers and not hire cashiers? So that's a question. And I think I mentioned going to the Walmart up there off of Airport Road here in Fletcher part of the area. And my wife and I knew where the pharmacy and the automotive was on the north end of the store, and the easiest way to get in there was to go in the garden center. And as we walked in, we saw a person sitting there by the cashier and said, okay, we can come out this way. And I got my motor oil, and she got her stuff from the pharmacy, and we walked back out to the garden center, and the guy said, oh, no, I'm not a cashier, I'm just a washer. So then we trekked back halfway to Brevard, where's about where the checkouts are in that particular store, and checked out, and then hiked back. So, but they didn't have a checkout person; they had a watcher. So all they were watching for is if you were walking out with something that you didn't pay for. But the fellow that was sitting there watching was probably about 80 years old, so I'm not exactly sure what he would be doing. Maybe he had a paintball gun or something. He could mark a shoplifter with a red paintball or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, those things can be frustrating, especially when they don't scan something or if you make a mistake or whatever. And I really can't stand to go through a checkout like in the grocery store, especially ones that you can put money in. I hate to do that. But the number one reason I hate to go through the checkout in Ingles self-checkout is with bananas is you have to enter everything. And I hate to bring vegetables that you go out there and you pick. You pick a few potatoes, apples, or whatever, bananas, and you put them in the bag, and then you go out there and you got to lift the darn things up and then put it on there and put it on the scale. If you don't do it in the right sequence, it goes tilt, and then Bertha Breadsacker comes over to straighten it all out for you. So now, I do not understand why when you go to Walmart with bananas, they scan and you set them on the scale and it does everything for you. But Ingles, you got to do it all manually. So, and I think the code is 4011. I finally learned that, but I still hate that you self-checkout with vegetables. And anyway, I was going to do one more quick comment on what Dave said about the bread. And my wife heard that and she got looking it up, and they said no one in the government would take the credit for coming up with that rule. They thought it was the Department of Agriculture and somebody the name Willard or something, the head of the department. And it went all the way down, and people passed the blame. And finally they decided it was the baking industry that came up with the bread rationing, and they blamed it on the baking industry. But the real reasons for it were probably flour being used for food production for the military, and maybe bread being used for it. But they actually ration bread altogether. So, but anyway, interesting deal that people willingly put up with. But when it came to the bread, they did not willingly put up with bread having it rationed because it was such a staple. But the other thing she found out was that they sold, one particular company, I forgot the name, sold 50 million boxes of macaroni and cheese, and I think it was a year or something, or the whole, anyway, all the macaroni and cheese boxes, packages they sold during World War II, after the war, it became a staple. It's never slowed down since then. So I know some of you folks out there like macaroni and cheese, but as a little kid, I did not. I had to eat it, and I did not like it, and I don't eat it to this day. Even though my kids like it, I can't stand it anymore. So much for that. George, if you're still copying, K4GD and the group, W4MEC.
Okay, W4MEC and the groups, K4GDN. Yeah, the band's beginning to fade out a little bit of the QSB was getting you that time, Charlie. And Lee, thanks for calling to that. Really appreciate you being in there. And I look forward to being in here on Sunday, hopefully. So with that, I'm going to say 73. I've got some tasks I've got to get done. And I enjoyed it very much again. So it's coming to you, Lee. K4VWD, K4GDN.
Lee, it's your turn.
Thank you. This is K4VWD. Well, George is not moving my needle at all, so I'm sorry. And, you know, with Brown, the W1 station, that meets 15 today. So, 15 people, but only 14 stations. So, anyway, it's been a good one. We've had about 5 sign-outs, and I'm in no hurry to go anywhere. I got nothing else to do, so I'm going to stand by to see if anybody wants to make some final comments. If so, call me now.
WF to you, Lee.
Anybody besides Mir? Don't hear anybody, so go ahead, Mir.
Okay, Roger. Thanks, Lee, for running the net, and just wanted to say a few words. Yeah, it was when I hosted some members of my former unit from New York State. It was a major reenactment here because it was a major anniversary. In 2006 was the 225th camp. And listen, field.
There he goes.
Society. Where some of the people that I really know had pretty good shots, but I couldn't get a vacation for that. It was shot in Southampton in Suffolk County, Long Island, which was not that far from us, and my ex-file Nancy was there. And we have a whole album. She with Alan Alda and the crew, because they got paid because they invited the members of the Brigade of the American Revolution to supply the revolutionary soldiers. So they even got paid for that. And what Nancy also did is she helped several of the dragoons with the horses because some of the horses were young and misbehaving a little bit. So every time somebody had a little bit of a problem, she went there and worked on the horse a little bit with the horse. And back then we had horses, and we were very so I couldn't take a vacation because I was busy on a project at work. But we had a big where there were all kinds of things. I didn't make it to the 1981 anniversary of the revolution of the war because I just joined the unit, and everybody had to go through like a security check by the government because of all the dignitaries and heads of state and everything being there. So I was a little bit. Well, sorry for the long monologue, but that's another one of my dear subjects. 73, everybody, and sorry for the long-winded speech here. Thanks, Lee, and you sounded great here. So K4VWD and whoever is still here, this is WFTU 73, and have a great day. We'll talk to you all on Sunday.
Okay, Mir. I got very little of that. Your audio was gone through most of it. Got a little bit at the very end and a tiny bit at the very beginning, but nothing in the middle. So you still got problems with the microphone. Although it sounded good, it's not making good contact. So very little of that transmission came through here. Does anybody else have any final comments? If so, call me now.
Lee, I think I just got very far from the microphone as I was talking. I kind of didn't think about it. I was leaning back. Thank you. 73 WFTU clear.
No, it was cutting out, Mir, off and on. And you talked for a total of 16 minutes tonight.
Well, sorry, you can cut it out from the live.
Oh, no, everybody loves it.
Okay, anybody else with any final comments? This is K4VWD.
I'm deaf as opposed. This is KZ4 Bravo. I'm deaf as opposed to where the bright sunlight came out. My next door neighbor's solar array has the noise up to S9++. So, nice to have the sunlight, but I'm out of business on AM as far as listening. 73's all. Thanks for calling the net. KZ4B clear.
Okay, John, very good. By the way, the temperature here is up to 33 degrees, so it's come up 7 degrees since we started. Anybody else with final comments? Come now. Don't hear any. So, 7-3, God bless everybody. Thank you for checking in. It's been a great net, I think, and I'm sorry for your problems there, Mir, but you got them. So, with that, I'll say again, 7-3, God bless. And this is K4VWD now closing the old friend's net. So long.